Hi guys. I was going to say good morning. I've just looked at my watch and it's 10 to 2. It's February the 14th, so happy Valentine's Day. I hope you've got everything you need. Some stitching. I'm here for a stitch with me. My third one, which I'm trying to do one at the weekends because it's just nice. And what I thought I'd do today is start my HAED. This is Home is Where the Magic Is. It's a great big huge Randall Spangler HAED. I'll show you the picture in just a second. And I've got everything I need, and I thought I'd show you how simple it is to start a HAED. If, like me, you go as you go rather than kitting the whole thing. All I need is my piece of Ada. This is 20 count. Well, it's antique white. It looks very, very white to me. It's antique white. I need a skein of DMC, and I need a Q-snap, and I need a needle. I had a needle. I have a needle. So my pattern is on my little Fire tablet, which from now on I'm using my any PDF patterns I have from now on. I'm going to use my Fire tablet because one, it's got a much bigger screen, and two, I use my phone for everything else, and I've already got about 15 possibly PDFs in Pattern Keeper on there. Only other thing I'm going to be needing today is my water erasable pen. This is the one I got on Amazon that I'm quite pleased with. It is a Core Bond. It's called Core Bond water erasable pen, which is the one with the fluidy ink in, which I rather like. That's the only other thing I need. Right, so I'm going to show you my pattern first. So, Pattern Keeper. I mean, this tablet has almost nothing on it apart from Pattern Keeper and one game and everything that just came loaded onto it. So I've got 5 on here. That's my Landscape 73, which is jauntily called Please Email to Emily, because I downloaded it from and got Robin to email it to me. Downloaded it onto his laptop. The Best to See You With, which is in process. Woo! Didn't mean to do that. Come out of there. The Mini A Real Snow Job, which is there. Fireside Dreams, which I started the other day, and Home is Where the... Oh, didn't mean to do that. Home is Where the Magic Is. So if you click the 3 lines and then you go View PDF, it brings up the full PDF as emailed to you from Heaven and Earth. So if I make that picture a bit bigger, you can see, hopefully, I'm looking at myself upside, I'm looking at it upside down here, and I'll twist it when I record it, so it's quite hard to gauge where I am. There we go. Now I got the max colour version because I didn't have a max colour version, so that was my little trick when I bought these two. My justification was one max colour and one only had 11 colours. So this chart has got 236 colours, 450 by 740. So there we go. So the full PDF is all there with all the colours. Look at this, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of colours there. Okay, I only need one. I only need one. Today, I need one. Okay, so I'm going to click into it. Now, I'm sure anybody who does a full coverage or anything on a PDF has found themselves access to Pattern Keeper. If you haven't, and you haven't seen anybody else describe very, very easily what it is and how it works, it is amazing. As you can see, there's the... It'll take a second to sort itself out. Come on. There's the mock-up of the pattern there, but that is just with the 939, which is what I've decided to go for first. And down here is a full list of all the colours and how many stitches there are of each colour to do. And 310, there's 11,811. So what I did was I looked for the biggest number of stitches. 550, which is one of my most favourite DMC colours, there's 24,700 in that colour. So 24,000. It's only 23 stitches of 733. They'll be like ninja, won't they? And, oh, 16,000 of 823, 11,000 of 820. Nothing beating here, 939, 54,169 stitches. It's only 9 stitches of 3011. Hope I don't have to buy a whole skein of that for 9 stitches. It basically just gives you your full list of the symbol, the number. It gives you a little colour swatch down the side. It gives you a list of the number, gives you the symbol, gives you a list of the numbers, and it gives in the brackets is how many stitches you've got left to stitch. So absolutely 939 is by far and away the biggest number. And as you can see, it's mostly the very background, the wall at the bottom, and it's just going to set the piece up really well for me. So I'm going to extreme cross country, which means you only need one colour. So you can do a HAED one colour at a time. There is nothing to stop you from doing that. You don't have to fully kit 230 something colours. I mean, 54,000 stitches. I'm going to need a heck of a lot more than one skein. So yes, it's going to be an awful lot of money to kit this fully. I've got a lot of them already in my not so master set. It's growing, but that's it. That's the 0 to 1000s. So I've got a fair few of those, but I'm missing so many, and that's the 3000s up. So I haven't got very many of those. And then other than that, my DMC consists of the Best to See You With, which are all the ones that I didn't, there's my 310s, that I didn't already own in my master set. I bought myself, just because that was my Christmas present, so I did buy that many skeins. So that's my extra there. And I've got one other box, which isn't immediately to hand, it doesn't matter, which is my shooting star colours. And other than that, that's my DMC. Yes, I've got odd DMCs. This is the tin I keep my Hawk Run Hollow in, my Halloween. And as you can see, there's a few skeins in there. There's a few extra skeins in there. As I use these, I'll bob in them. So I've got a few odd skeins here and there. But then the other day in the post, I got a little pack, Arts and Designs. You order them, and if you're in the UK, they generally come the very next day, unless you order late in the evening. And I've got 4 939s, which is a good start. I'll buy 4 or 5 here and there, as and when. So I'm going to start this, and I'm going to show a little bit of the chart, because really there isn't any way. There is 333,000 stitches here. So to work Pattern Keeper, you just use your pinchy finger and you just make it big. And you can make this as big or as little as you need it to be, and then as it gets big it puts the symbols in. And I want to come right up to the top left corner, which is where I stitch. So my symbol is the black square, and because I've got it selected, can you see it's got a green, it might be easier if I change the symbol. There's hardly any other symbols here. That one, no, this one, there. Can you see I've selected a different symbol there, and it's highlighted 155, and there's 1 2 3 4 5 stitches in that, and they're so easy to spot. But I'm going with the 939. So basically the very top left corner is pretty much all the stitches, which is exactly what I want. So I'm just going to pop that to the side. So I'm ready. Pattern Keeper's ready. Now I've got my piece of Ada here, which old boy Clivo did come and sit on last night. So I have a few old boy black hairs on it. I'm not going to worry too much about that. Now this one is in portrait, not landscape. So I've got the short edge. I've actually got this piece selvage to selvage, because it's going to be almost full length here. So I just need my top left hand corner, which is here. Double check, short length, long length. And I'm going to put my Q-snap on. I'm going to put it quite tight up into the corner because that's where I'm starting. So there we are. So what I'm going to do, trap my fabric in my Q-snap. Now, I am still in the process of making myself a whole pile of big project bags, which anyone who knows me knows it takes me a very long time to get round to anything. But this is how I stitch a HAED. Here is my extra fabric. That goes in my lap. Doesn't bother me at all. And by, Better to See You With is not a good example because I've already washed that. Bountiful bookshelf. Only difference between this and that is this is 18 count Ada and that's 20 count Ada. Exactly the same. Zweigart Ada. This, at 5% finished, you can see it's floppy, it's floofty, it's had the stuffing knocked out of it. My 14 count key is even floppier because I've done so much more on that. There we go. Oh, look, I'm doing it. It's nearly there. My aim is to completely finish this book. Now I've got the colours, I should be able to do it. I put 1100 stitches into this yesterday. It's by the by, and I'll show you in my floss tube. But I don't hold them into grind guards. I don't roll it up. I just flop it into my lap. And that's where it stays. So I need to find a starting point. So I'm going to get my pen and I'm going to say 2 inches in, 2 inches in. I'm going to draw a line down here. I am happy with a 2-inch border. That's fine for me. There. There's my top left corner. Because all of these are so massive, one, I'll worry about finishing them when I finish them, which, let's be honest, isn't going to be any time soon. Partly because I've got so many in process, and partly because they're so enormous. Even if I only worked on this project, I reckon it would still take me 3 years to stitch them. And I don't want to work on one project. Where I'm sitting right now, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 10 whips I can see from where I'm sitting that I can touch around me. Because I chop and change. I'll literally do 100 stitches on that, pick up that, put a colour in that, pick up this, put some stitches in this. It's just how I roll. And that's okay. We all do our thing. So I'm now going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whoops, lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that will get me started. There, 400 stitches. I'm not going to stitch 400 stitches in my Stitch With Me, am I? Considering I'm already 14 minutes in. There. So, 400 stitches marked out there, which equates to that block, that block, that block, and that block. Now, Pattern Keeper has got 3 buttons. It's a piece of piss to use, really. There's Map, there's Select, and there's Colour In. 3 buttons. So I've set it where I wanted it with the map. I've used the magnifying glass to select the colour, and now I've gone to the crayon, which is Colour In. So that's ready. Now I'm 20 count, so I'm going to be going over 1 over 1 on 20 count, and I want about that much. So because it's single strand, you can just grab one and just pull it out. There's the 5, there's the 1. So So I thought I'd start this one because I meant to do it yesterday and couldn't because my very elderly. Now Clive, I've talked about Clive before a lot. He's my oldest, one of my most favourite things. He's up here with me right now. Hopefully I'll just turn this, hopefully it won't fall out, and show you that Clive is up here with me. There he is. There's my old black slug. He's decided up here is the place for him. And I did drop the camera. Okay, so as expected, I totally dropped the camera. Right. Let's start this HAED. First stitch, top left corner. Just going to get myself a comfy so that, whoa, this is the problem with my tripod because my cutting board's over there. And I was just going to see if I could just do it here today. But of course it's just resting on the bed, so it's a bit more of a challenge. Right. So, yeah, so my old boy, since we got Eric partly because I didn't want to, he's listening to me as well, which is terrible. I didn't want to wait until he'd passed before we got another cat, because then we'd be replacing him, and I didn't want to replace him because you can't replace him. He's been part of my life for 18.5 years. So we got Eric and sort of went, oh, he'll get used to him, and he has. They eat together. The weirdest thing is that they eat together. They've got no qualms about sharing food. There's no meanness there. It's just every time Eric goes near him, he makes the horrible growly cat noise, which you'll have heard many times while I'm recording, especially when I'm down in the living room and they're both down there behaving badly. So I think that's just his grumbly old voice. We looked it up yesterday, and in human years he is 97. He's 97, and yesterday and today he's been a bit sick. He's been a little bit sick, which is very concerning. I'm sure he's doing it deliberately just to make me worry, but it's very concerning because he is extremely elderly, and watching a cat turn itself inside out to vomit is not brilliant. So anyway, this morning Maddie and I have been out. I'll explain this bit in just a second. Hang on. Hi guys, I just binned all of that because I was talking nonsense. What I will do is I will put that, you'll have just watched me put these stitches in, probably a little bit faster, probably gone zzz, and they're done, because I'm going to put it in without sound because I was literally wombling on about literally nothing. And I've just realised that I was just filling space there. So this morning, Maddie and I have been out shopping. We went to Asda and got all the things we were running out of, i.e. milk. All the milk. We needed lots of milk because we get through an awful lot of milk. So I've now got 12, 18, I've got 20 new pints of milk in the fridge, which will last us not a full week. We probably, in our house, probably conservatively drink 30 pints of milk between us a week, which is quite normal. I just split my thread there. And we've got some very mild food for Clive because he's been a little upset in his tummy. But he's decided that my bed is the place for him to sleep. Now, if you were on Instagram yesterday, you might have seen the picture, and you follow me. I don't know if you do. Of Clive, he brought himself up. He came and sat very awkwardly on my lap for a while. He's never been a lap cat. He came and awkwardly sat on my lap, and then he settled down next to me on this nice woolly blanket, which is nice and cozy for him. And then he awkwardly sort of shuffled around a bit until he was lying on this piece of brand new Ada. And then he stretched out so that he was lying across my bountiful bookshelf, which of course I'd just been working on. I'd taken it out of the Q-snap to put something else in, and he laid down on it. So it was like he was doing it deliberately, absolutely deliberately. So he's a funny old boy, but he's in with me now. He's obviously decided that in here is a new place for him to sleep, which I'm good with. He can sleep wherever the hell he likes. So he's all cuddled up in here with me, which is rather nice because I can see him. I can see his little. I can see him in here with me. Means Eric's sort of pitched out. So I've bought him some special old boy tummy cat food. Got him a packet of Royal Canin senior cat from 12 years. Usually they decide a senior cat is from 7. Okay, my cat's 20. So I think 12 plus is probably, and because it's Royal Canin, hopefully it's got a really, really good. I just want something for his system to digest nice and easily and quickly, so that if he's going to be poorly, his body's absorbed some nutrients. So I'm hoping that that's going to help. And Robin's going to quietly hand feed him a couple of times a day, just so that we know he's eating something decent. Whereas Eric's just got bog standard, I'm a cat, here's cat food. But that's always down, and Clive does eat that too, but I'm just wondering if it's that that's making him poorly. Anyway, so we went to Asda, and then we stopped in at B&M just because we haven't been out very much, and we needed a little walk around. So we walked around B&M. Luckily it's a very big shop that's just opened, so the aisles were good and empty. We went out at just gone 10 o'clock in the morning because the shops don't open until 10 here in the UK on a Sunday. So we went out at 10 o'clock and we got all the way to the main roundabout that takes you right into Carlisle, which we didn't. We took the offshoot and went up to the out of town shops, as it were. Before we really passed anything, we passed one van and one tanker lorry, and that was it. And I kept saying to Maddie, this is very weird, there's nobody out on the roads. I mean, we are in lockdown, but it's usually really, really busy. By the time we're done in Asda and done in B&M and we're driving through town to go to the pet shop, I mean Costa, that's my excuse for going to Costa, but I had to go to the pet shop to get snake food. Oh, there was a darling little baby corn snake in there. Luckily I walked away. The last thing we need is another snake. By the time we drove through Carlisle, it was really quite busy. Lots and lots of people out, lots of joggers. Obviously people trying to shift their lockdown weight. But it's nice to see them out and about and being busy. So yeah. And then I ran into the pet shop, got the posh cat food for Clive and the week's snake food, which, yes, it's frozen ice, which is the only downside of snakes. They are the easiest pets in the world. They're really rather lovely. Pet snakes are easy peasy. They eat once a week, they poo once a week, and they poo a lovely dry thing which you just get out of the house. It's fine, you know, you just open the Viv, take out the little dry thing, and it's wonderful. All you have to do is make sure that their vivarium is still nice and warm. Obviously they have heat bulbs, and make sure they've got nice clean water. And that's it. That's basic snake care. It's really very easy. We get them out every now and again, and my snake, which has gone now, used to sit on my lap. I used to get him out, pop him on my lap, and he'd just sit there like a cat, and then he'd sit there for a while, and then he'd start looking around and start mooching about a bit. But yeah, they're good, easy pets. The only downside is the fact that you have to defrost poor little rodents, which is why we're having no more rodent pets. I mean, the guinea pigs are rodents, I know, but they're out in the garden, and they're sizable. They're small cat size. Our guinea pigs are absolutely enormous. They're both boys and they're really big. Yeah, we have lots of pets, actually. I don't know if I've talked too much about my pets. You've met both my cats. I've shown up pictures of my boys, my dogs, which I've got. They're both going to turn 10 this year. They'll be 10 in May, the boys. We got them from the same breeder. I don't know if anybody ever watches Crufts, which is like the big dog show in the UK every year. Now, oh, years, 14 years ago maybe, a Hungarian Vizsla called Yogi won the absolute grand prize, you know, the absolute best in show. And that dog, Yogi, is my Clay's grandfather. Now, admittedly, he had a lot of puppies, because obviously being the best in show means that they can stud out. He stud this dog out forever, which they probably did. But we got Clay from Yogi's owners, who just happened to be local to us. We didn't know when we went to... We didn't even know that they had Vizslas. We went for Jock. We were looking for a Cocker Spaniel. I wanted a Spaniel with floppy Spaniel ears. And we found a breeder of Cocker Spaniels. And they had a litter of puppies. And we went along to look. And while I was looking at this little Cocker Spaniel, the guy came in with this little orange slug. And he put this little orange slug down on Robin's chest. And that was it. So we went from going for a Cocker Spaniel to getting our little Cocker Spaniel and a Hungarian Vizsla, which we were after. To be honest, we were after one anyway, because we were talking to him and we said, oh, well, we really, really love Vizslas and we've been visiting breeders down south. And he went, oh, what are you doing that for? Hang on a minute. And he went and got this little orange slug, and he'd only just been born. Clay was not even 24 hours old when he was plonked down on Robin, and that was it. He just melted like mush. But there'll be 10 this year, my dogs, and they're lovely. Again, I don't take them out in the car unless I absolutely have to, because Jock gets very, very car sick. Jock is the spaniel, and if we take him out in the car, I mean, we live in the Pennines, we can walk from the house. We've got an old railway line that runs outside our back gate. So basically, do you see what I'm doing? I'm just using my thread's gone all floofy and dead, and I'm still using it. And I'll squeeze out. I just had to rethread it there. Just probably, I'm not going to squeeze out another 2 stitches. So there we go. Yeah, so I walk the dogs out the back. And they're old now and they don't like this weather. And at the moment, even going out into the garden just to do their business, they're not really enjoying that. They'd much rather be in the house. So they're on very short shift at the moment because they just don't want to. They're old. I assume they've got creaky bones. You know, they're just reached that age where they don't really want to when the weather's not very nice. And I'll take them out and they'll be keen for about 5 minutes, and then they'll start looking at me, and Jock just sort of you just know he doesn't want to. And then, okay, home again. So we've got the 2 cats, the 2 dogs. We have 4 goldfish in what's called a biorb. It's a circular acrylic fish tank, a 60-litre circular acrylic fish tank, and Biorb's the brand, and we've had that a long time. When I moved in here, I had Clive and a goldfish. Well, we had 2 goldfish that rapidly became 1 goldfish, and then this goldfish George, we had him for another 9 years, I think, after that. 8 or 9 years we had George after that, and he was a 1 tank goldfish guy. He did not want tank mates. He was one of those. So he lived to a ripe old age and was a very big fat goldfish. And you know, goldfish have memories. They totally do. If you go up to their biorb and you show them the pot of food, they go bananas. They know what's coming. They've got good memories. And when they're hungry, they swim to the nearest point to the people, and like they stand there in a row looking at you going, come on, we're hungry. It's really quite funny. So we've got the 4 goldfish in the biorb, and then we've got a fish tank, a tropical fish tank, which at the moment probably has about 20 fish in it. It could probably take 200. It's a 6 foot long, it stands like on a sideboard. It's a 6 foot long tropical tank, so it's pretty extensive, and it uses up a lot of our living room. We don't really need it anymore, but the fish we've got in it we're rather attached to, so I'm very loath to buy a smaller tank and sell the big tank, because that's their home, and you know, I think it would be cruel to put quite large fish into a smaller tank. So we're stuck with this great big fish tank with not very much in it. I've got a cloud of tetras in there, you know, neon tetras, the little bright shinies. Every now and again I'll go and buy 2 dozen of them just to plop them in, just to give it a bit of sparkle and light. Clive's innards are gurgling, I can hear them from here. That's not brilliant. Either that or he's purring or something. He's never been very good at purring. Anyway, so we've got fish tank, and then in the living room we have 4 snake vivariums. We've got 2 ball pythons, and ball pythons don't do very much. They're called ball pythons because they sit in a lump of a ball of python, and that's what they do. They sit in balls and they do nothing. They just curl their bodies up into a little lump, and that's them. They don't do much. And then we've got Derek, who is Maddie's corn snake. He's a hypermelanistic. He's all sorts of reds and oranges on top half of him, and underneath he's like a checkerboard, like a black and white checkerboard. He's quite fantastic. And Derek's lovely. He's got a lovely temperament. When he was little, he was up in Maddie's room, and when you went to feed him, he's really territorial over his house, you know, inside his vivarium, and he used to click his tail like a rattlesnake. It was so funny, and he used to get really, you could see he was grumpy. When something hasn't got facial expression and eyelids and anything, but you could just see that he was grumpy. He's mellowed a lot with older age now, and he's now down in the living room because Maddie she wanted a drawing desk, like a proper drawing table, you know, that the back lifts to be it lifts up on like a ratchet system, so that she can set the back the height she needs. She puts it flat and uses it for school, and then when she's painting, she ratchets up the back, and it sits like an easel. It's very nice, but she wanted that in her room, and so we brought his Viv downstairs. So Derek's her snake, and then we've got, imaginatively called Snaky Snake, who is a rainbow boa. Now she is beautiful. As snakes go, she's the one to have. Unfortunately, because her scales are iridescent, and she literally, as she moves, she's literally a rainbow because of the iridescence of her scales. And she's got beautiful markings. The uniridescent bits are beautiful, but when she moves and the light catches her, she is amazing. Unfortunately, she's a nasty piece of work, and she's ferocious, and she bites. So none of us go near her. We feed her, and occasionally brave enough to put our hands in and get the poo out and things like that, but my goodness me, she's ferocious. So she's the only like properly frightening snake we have, just because she's grumpy. She's so grumpy. When she was little, she was as cute as, and we'd get her out, and I think they're tree snakes, so she used to go up the banisters, and it was just, I don't think we have it on. Oh, that's not the right place for that stitch. I don't think we have it on video, her going up the stairs, but she used to go up the spindles of the banisters, and she'd curl up. She used to curl up one spindle and then stretch across to the next one, and then curl down that one and then curl up the next one, and she'd do it so quickly. It was absolutely epic to watch. And then all of a sudden she became insanely grumpy, and yeah, we've all been we're all a bit careful with her. But you know, she's locked in her viv, she's fine. She's certainly feisty and busy. And then the boy's got a snake as well. Now he's got a boa as well, but he's just got an ordinary communal garden boa. And he is called Strikey. Austin was, what, 6 when he called him Strikey? So, again, not very imaginative name. But there we go. The kid's got a pet, calls it what it wants, doesn't it? So Strikey is Austin's snake, and he is really lovely. He's a lovely boa. He's so friendly, and he's really cute because he's got a moustache and a goatee, just markings on his face, but he's got a little goatee beard, and he has a little moustache. He's so cute, and he's beautiful because he's sort of a fawn colour, almost skin colour. You know, he's a sort of a fawny skin colour with other markings, but he's very beautiful. So we've got those, and what else do we have? We've got 3 ferrets. Somebody did ask how many ferrets we've got. 3 ferrets. We originally got 2 rescues. It's a long roundabout story. We've kept chickens for years. We've probably kept chickens for 8 years now. And for a long time, we never had any problems with keeping chickens. And then we got new next door neighbours who also kept a lot of poultry. Like, we had some chickens, they were breeding them, and they had chickens and ducks and all sorts, which we don't mind at all. Absolutely brilliant, lovely. But they've now got an allotment up on the hill behind, sort of on the hill behind our house, and along a bit there's some allotments. I know not how you go about getting one of those, and to be honest, it's a bit of a windy ridge. But all their poultry's up there now. So anyway, with a lot of poultry comes rats. So we'd never had rats, we'd never seen them really, and then all of a sudden there was a lot of rats around. So Robin said, let's get some ferrets. Ferrets are good at getting, you know, they smell so strongly that it'll stop the ferrets, it'll stop the rats, which was fair enough. So we got 2 rescue boy ferrets. They'd been handed to a rescue because they were a pair of brothers, and one of them had clearly either had from birth or had an accident and had nerve damage to his spine, so he walked really gimpily. He had a funny little limpy gait, and then later on his back end kind of went. Oh, he was perfectly happy, but he saw his days out with us. And his brother Tom was a big boy ferret. But when he was on his own, they're social creatures, and he was clearly lonely. So we did the winter in like a big parrot cage. It was absolutely perfect for him. We made him a little nesty area, but he was in the conservatory with the dogs all winter, and the dogs love him. Clay's particularly keen on small animals. He just loves them. So he spent the winter in the house in the conservatory with the dogs, and then in spring we thought, right, we'll see if we can get him some friends. So we did some ring round, and we found a lady who has a ferret rescue not too far from us, the other side of Hexham, and we contacted her and said, oh, we've got a lonely ferret. And she said, oh yes, come see us, come visit us, bring your ferret, so that he can meet the others and you can see who he gets on with. So we set out. We still had our big Chrysler then, our big 7-seater. We had a Chrysler Grand Voyager, absolutely marvellous machine. We had that for a long time till basically I killed it. Its timing belt went while I was driving it, and that was the nail in its coffin essentially. Because when your timing belt goes, it basically destroys the pistons. Basically push themselves up through the top of your cylinder head, and then that's you done. So that was it done. Anyway, we all piled into this with the ferret, and we made it to Hexham straight to Pets at Home, and I bought a cat box because he was just in the car with us, which is fine, you know, he was sleepy and it was all right, and then all of a sudden he got a bit feisty. I don't know if you've ever tried to hold a ferret in a car. Yeah, it's hilarious. So yeah, we got a cat box and we went to this lady, and her house was basically ferret proof, so she just went out and got them from their hutches outside and brought them in and let them go. So we came home, we went with one ferret and we came home with 4. So this was 4 years ago, possibly even 5 years ago now. And Tom passed away last year. He must have been quite an age for a ferret. So now we've got 3 ferrets. We've got the white one that was in the food in the video. Flora hadn't quite put the top on the food dispenser, and he was in eating the food. He's called Morse. He's the white one. He is technically Austin's. And then there's a little girl ferret, and we think she's half wild. She's absolutely lovely, but I think she's a little wild. She's called Tilly. And then we have a gorgeous ferret with a pink nose, who's again a lovely buff colour. She's sort of beige, much lighter than the classic ferret colouring. She's called Shania, and those are the names they came with. So we have 3 ferrets, and then we have some chickens. But at the moment we have just 3 chickens. At one point we had nearly 40 chickens, and then we've come right down in numbers, and at the moment we've just got the 3 who are just overwintering up at the top of the garden. They've got quite a big area, and I call it an ark. It's like a polytunnel, but I made it with sheets of corrugated plastic. So it's a nice arch with a door on the front, a door on the, you know, and the back, and it's completely covered, and the door is open, so they can mosey in and out of there. So they've always got somewhere dry. If the weather, like right now, is awful, they've got somewhere nice and dry they can go. And they are, oh, what are they called? Leg bars. They are leg bars, and they lay blue-green eggs. That's just what they do. They lay blue-green eggs. So they're lovely, and I'm hoping they're going to come back into lay quite soon. Chickens traditionally lay between Valentine's Day and Halloween. So it's Valentine's Day today, so hopefully once this horrible spell of cold weather's gone, they'll come into lay. And we should get, well, the leg bars are prolific egg layers, so we should, well, from the 3 chickens, we should get 2 eggs a day. 2 out of the 3 should lay every day, hopefully. So we'll hopefully start getting eggs again soon, because I don't never like buying eggs. I never like buying eggs because I've got chickens, but through the winter months we have to, because we don't have enough, and they are sort of outside. They're sort of outside pets. They've certainly got access. They've got a small shed. They've got a proper purpose purchased chicken coop, and the ark thing that I made just to give them cover. And they're in they're in a big enclosure in the top of the garden, which has got mesh sides, and it's got like, you know, the sort of knitted mesh you can buy to put on top of ponds. If you've got small children in a pond, you buy a sort of like a knitted mesh. That's on the as a roof, so they can't get out because they tend to roam around a bit if they get out. So they are enclosed. I think they're quite happy up there. And that's all our pets. So we've got quite a menagerie. We've had a lot more than we have now. Our numbers are going down rather than going up, if you catch my drift. We did have 7 chickens this time. No, not this time last year. We had 5 chickens left, and then we went and got, just before literally the weekend before lockdown, the first lockdown started, we went and got 4 the leg bars. We've got 4 leg bars and we got a cockerel, and we're now down to 3 of the 4 leg bars, so I'm not too sure what's happened to them and why. And all of our chickens all passed. They were elderly, none of them laid eggs anymore. They were all past it, you know. Which is why we got some new chickens. Still don't know why they stopped laying, but hopefully they'll come back into lay soon. But it's been quite a harsh winter, and chickens are funny creatures. They suddenly just die, just for no reason at all. There's no way of telling. You'll say goodnight to them, come in the next morning, and there's one dead, and you're like, what? Why did you do that? But they're not technically pets, I suppose. We've had some favourites. We had a little black and white spotty chicken, an Ancona. They're, what's the word? Bantam. You know, the little miniature ones. They're rather lovely. We had a little Bantam black and white one, and it could, no matter how much we baby-proofed the chicken pen, he'd still get out. She'd still get out, and she used to come in the house. Or we'd come down in the morning and go, chicken on the windowsill, and she'd sit on the windowsill in the kitchen and tap the window. So you'd open it and chuck a bit of bread at her or something, you know. She always escaped. She died not so long back, but she was probably 8. We think she was 8. They live a fair while, chickens. A lot of our pets are getting on in years, but that's what we've got. We haven't always had a lot of pets. When Robin pitched up, we started getting more and more pets. He does something that I call hobby skipping. He gets very, very, very into something, and then not so much losing interest, but something else takes his eye. So since he's been onto woodwork, we've done turning on the lathe, and then he got a planer, so he started making picture frames, and then he started buying tools. So rather than buying brand new, all singing, all dancing, fangly tools, he started wanting antique tools. So then that's when we started going to auction and buying tools. And then he's moved on to, what's he doing now? Oh, now he's hell-bent on making a sawmill. So he hobby skips. We've done all sorts of things. We've done cars. He got heavily into we've got an RX-8, which is a Mazda, and it has a rotary engine, which is the only real car that's ever been made with the rotary engine, like normal production car. So we've got one. It's not worth anything. It's not like your classic, oh, it's going to be a classic car that's going to be worth a fortune one day. It's not. You can pick them up for £1,500, RX-8s. They're not expensive cars to purchase, but we've got one on our driveway because he just loves the way the engine works, because it's only got 3 moving parts. It's a very peculiar thing, actually. Anyway, he was into that, and for a while he was buying engines and he was reconditioning them and yada yada yada. And then we went from that to something else. Oh, electrics. He was writing code for a while. He was writing code for systems, and my polytunnel had an automated system that that monitored the humidity and the water and everything, and if it got too dry it would self-water, and yeah, all that happened was it made my courgettes rot. So he did that for a while, and he was writing computer programs for all sorts of odd things. And then he got into wood, so we did and then we've hobby skipped several times there. So we've been through quite a few fads of pets. We went through fish. The fish started breeding, so we went through. So at one point we had like 4 fish tanks on the go. We had fish tanks in the shed, and then we went through chickens, and we had chickens in the shed, and the chickens all started breeding, and We had a shed full of chickens. So we go through fads. He goes through fads. I don't go through fads. I don't collect up tons of yarn and then start sewing and collect up tons of cross-stitch stuff. Yeah. We're collector hoarders. And I've nearly done my, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just following my pattern is just sitting on my knee here. What have I done? I've done those two and I've done those two, and as I'm going along, I'm just marking off the stitches I've stitched, and then when you've marked off the ones you've done, you press the tick and it colours them in. So that's what I've stitched there. That's that. And I have done 206 stitches, which is 0.06%. So there we have it, the start. But you can see that's it. So I'm going to extreme cross country. I'm going to do all 55,000 stitches in 939, just like this, ticking off each one as I go. There we are. So I've told you all about my pets, which may or may not be any good to watch. Yes, I've got odd socks on and I've got a bit of chocolate. So I think that's me for today, guys. What am I going to do this week? Hopefully got something coming in the post, which I am super excited to show you. Hopefully it's going to come before I do my floss tube next week, and I can't wait to show you because I got something on eBay this morning that I am so excited about. So I'll maybe show you that if it's arrived. And I think part 2 of Dreaming Girl comes out tonight or tomorrow. So I shall probably be starting part 2 of that. And I think that's me done. So I will see you for my normal floss tube Thursday, hopefully next week, and I'll catch you then. Bye bye guys, hope you've all done some good stitching. See you soon.